Hey everybody, before we get started, just to remind you this episode is brought to you by patrons alike, Go Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Sodasan0424, and Video Gamer 75. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really help us out. Thanks for your support, everybody! Hello everyone, welcome back to Enter the Dojo, the show about schools and stuff in Fantasy Flight Games' Legend of the Five Rings role-playing game, aka 5th edition. So, you know how I say I try to do 2 of these a month? So, I made the assets for this one, and we're going to talk about the Isawa Elementalist school today. One of the probably most classic, most fundamental schools of Shugenja-ism, for a lot of reasons which we will talk about in a little bit when we talk about the school and stuff. But so I made my assets. I usually make them online, but I forgot to make sure they were available online and download them, and then I lost my internet for a couple of days. And that was last week, and so the weekend is a very busy recording period of time for me, so I've only just now, because of that delay, like in the middle of last week leading into the weekend, I have only just now caught up and actually been able to, like, take a breath. Okay, I get a little free time, because everybody has to take breaks, and then it's like, okay, I have to record it now. So now it's October. Whoops. If you want the full story, because it's, well, I don't know how funny it is, but it's a thing, check out our podcast, Let's Talk FGO, or What's Up most recently, because we do stuff. Anyway, we're here, we're back in Enter the Dojo, we're going to break down the school, its techniques and stuff, kind of walk you through some things. I don't like to make the intro too long, you know, I like to get into the meat so you can read some stuff, but I also don't want to distract you while I talk about some things, so really quick, I'm going to cover. We don't need to go into details about invocations and communing, and offerings and all that stuff. We talked about that in the Kaito episode, and so I've already covered it. And while these aren't necessarily supposed to be in sequence, you can look it up. But basically, invocations you can remember, you can commune, and you can give offerings to get better. And also you can channel, that's another effect. So, covered all that. We've done, we've done an episode which involved invocations through Kaito, because they were my monk school, and then we've also done an episode about another Shugenja school, so I'm not going to reiterate the basics. Read them over, they're pretty good. So, just real quick, I want to mention to people before we get into it, because I know sometimes I don't feel like I'm going as hard on the fluff as I should, maybe, because it's a very big deal as a narrative to this. But I think before we even discuss about the mechanics of the school, the options of the school, you should know some things about the Isawa. So, if you don't know, the Phoenix are a very interesting clan as far as great clans go, because I hope you're passingly familiar with the lore of L5R if you're getting into it, but you know how all the 7 great clans and the Empire, effectively, because that was the 8th Kami Hante, were all founded by one of the Kami, fell to Earth, all that stuff. Except Phoenix, because, well, arguably Shiba founded the family, but he did not build it, so his family was the center. When the war against darkness happened and the battle against Fu Lang, the 9th Kami, the evil one, they required Isawa's skills, because Isawa was so good at magic that his people up in the north there were known as the tribe of Isawa. And they had very unique abilities and very high quality prayers and interactions with the Kami, okay? They were very good at magic in ways that other peoples were not. And so Shiba was like, yo, Isawa, we need your help, otherwise he's gonna win. And Isawa was like, nah, bro, I don't want to get my friends and family involved in this. This is your problem. Because he was resisting integrating with the Empire. And Shiba knelt. He knelt to Isawa and said, if you do this, me and mine will protect you and yours forever. And Isawa was like, wow, okay, deal, boom. And Isawa became one of the Thunders and all that stuff. And now the Isawa family are the head of the Phoenix clan through their Council of Elemental Masters, all right? So they have built this whole, first of all, they have basically built a almost theocratic or magicratic system where the leaders of their clan are the bestest Shugenja in certain areas, the 5 elemental masters, 1 for each element, and have a position over the Kami-founded, the literally divine-founded bloodline of their clan, the Shiba. And that's kind of how that relationship works, you know, the clan champion of the Phoenix clan is a Shiba, as far as I know, usually. But they are subservient to the Elemental Masters, which is a unique arrangement. They are basically the bridge between the Emperor and the Elemental Masters. So, the Isawa family have a lot of interesting interactions with magic, and they have a lot of history with magic. Some of the biggest libraries, some of the best schools for Shugenja. There are a lot of Shugenja traditions descended from the Isawa. Isawa has sent family members to basically all the fledgling clans to teach them. So, while they had their own styles, families like Agasha and Kuni got some advice from the Isawa. Even Iuchi studied under Isawa before they left Rokugan and then figured out that Isawa-style Shugendo didn't work elsewhere. Whoops. Yogo was I guess he was a follower of Isawa. You could say he was Asako, another one of the founders of the Phoenix Clan's husband, before he got terribly cursed and stuff happened. So, obviously, they probably would have shared some notes, and the Asahina family is a direct offshoot of the Isawa family. They were founded by a guy who used to be Isawa. The only clans, I think, that have almost absolutely no influence from Isawa are the Kitsu, who were founded way later and are very weird, and Soshi, who were also founded after Isawa had died and some weird stuff happened. But we're not here to talk about them today. Though a Soshi episode could be really interesting because of a lot of reasons. But save that for a different time. The Isawa have a shitload of schools. Okay, they have a lot of schools. Elementalist is just one school. This is just their generalist Shugenja school. They also have a special school, the Ishiken, for Void Shugenja, and they are basically the only real Void Shugenja tradition out there. We don't even have Void Invocations in the game yet, so that's like how rare and important that is. They were like, you don't need to put these in the base book. That'll be complicated. We'll do that later. They also have technically a different school for each other elemental tensei, which usually where elemental masters are drawn from, specific mastery of a element and other stuff going on. So the elementalist we should emphasize is the generalist school. You are really good at general invocations, but will possibly not be as good as future schools that are printed because we know they exist, that are hyper-focused on that element. That said, they're really general. So let's go ahead and jump into the school basics now that we've kind of fluffed up the Isawa a little bit. Alright, so you can immediately see that the Isawa Elementalist school, purely tagged Shugenja, is a little bit different. Look at those rings. Any two. +1 to any 2 rings. So, yes, you are a generalist school. You can put your pluses in whatever rings you like. This really frees up your build depending on which elements, which approaches you maybe want to work with. Which kind of stuff fits your character overall. And in general is just a really decent setup. So you can only choose 3 skills because you get 5 techniques at start. But they include composition, courtesy, medicine, meditation, performance, and theology. A very interesting skill list. So obviously you probably want to go whole hog in theology if you haven't already gotten it to 3 through whatever, because, you are an elementalist, you're a pure Shugenja, you're one of the most pedigreed Shugenja schools, you should be good at theology. But those others, that could be anything. You could do composition or medicine for prepared invocations. Those are both examples, wards with composition, and at least in the beta, medicine was a example of preparing alchemical potions. That'll probably come back up when we get a dragon book. Meditation is useful for some ritual techniques and also makes a lot of sense. And then courtesy or performance are like your only social options. So on the one hand, you could easily go full nerdbird and just go, I'm going to take all my knowledge skills. I'm going to take theology, medicine, and then like meditation maybe, or composition, and be like, fuck social skills. Who needs those? Right? Or you could ditch out on all the extra stuff and just be, I do magic good, but also I can talk to people. Like you could do courtesy, performance, theology. Or you could branch out completely. You could do like composition, courtesy, performance, and just cruise on the fact that as building a Phoenix character, you probably picked up some theology dots anyway. Or whatever. The 3 is pretty limiting, but I think the spread of skills speaks for itself. And we'll talk more about other ways your character might develop as you work through your school when we look at the actual curriculum. Your honor is 40, pretty middle of the road. You get full access to invocations, rituals, and Shuji. So don't necessarily sleep on those social options, because that gives you stuff to do besides magic. And honestly, sometimes doing magic in court can be shifty. There's a reason why, speaking of the Soshi, their special ability is to do the thing. And if you're wondering what that thump is, I'm having an awkward moment with my pop filter and my mic arm. It might be a little too low. I keep bumping it with my hands. But it'll make a lot of noise if I shift it up. So in the segment break, I'll readjust it. But for now, school. So, starting techniques. This is a pretty interesting spread. So you get to pick 3 invocations, which are one each. Your options are one each from an element, I should say. So you can take Extinguish, Grasp of Earth, Path to Inner Peace, Tempest of Air. So you get to pick 3 of the 4 elements and decide which ones you like. They should probably be the ones that match to the rings you bumped, but whatever. So, Path to Inner Peace is the basic healing spell, removes fatigue. Grasp of Earth is a Earth kind of stall spell. We're not going to go into the whole mechanics. Tempest of Air, I believe, does the reverse. You can actually, if you do it well, you can push people away and do big blasts. And Extinguish lets you stop things and people from being on fire. Does Extinguish do anything else? I think because it is a rank 1 invocation, so I think it really is just, yeah. Okay, that's right, it self-heals you. You suck the energy out of the fire, so you recover 1 fatigue per source of fire you extinguish, and you can hit up to 3. And if you get opportunity, you can cancel out other fire invocations. So it's pretty flexible and interesting, and you can all do very interesting things with these very basic spells. And you can do more than you think, even because of your school ability, which we will talk in a minute, but obviously you can read on screen. But you also get 2 rituals. You can do divination and commune with the spirits. Pretty basic stuff. I'm kind of curious why they don't have, like, Cleansing Rite or Threshold Barrier, but I guess that's probably more specialized schools. Like, that'd be a Kaito type thing. And in fact, I think they get to pick between those 2 and maybe a 3rd. Hold on, I feel a sneeze going on. Sorry about that. Had to pause for a sneeze. All right. So, speaking of your school ability, because this will kind of help influence some of the things, your school ability is 1 with the elements, once per scene before, or when making a check to activate an invocation technique. Before you roll the dice, there's the before, reduce the TN by your school rank. So, let's see, Extinguishes, alright, that's TN 3, not too bad. Where's Grasp of Earth? That's TN 2. These are just examples, by the way, I won't do this for, like, literally everyone. Blessed Wind is also TN2, and then what's Path to Inner Peace? It's probably a TN2. Yep, TN2. So, yes, it is once per scene, but this lets you pretty severely pop down the difficulty, and obviously as you get better and better, as you rank up, this will improve over time, all the time, and lets you pull off a lot of your more complex invocations without having to channel to basically, quote-unquote, waste turns to build success, etc., or give offerings to reroll. You can just be like, nah, I'm just going to make this easier, and I'm going to do this really hard invocation. The most serious is probably when you start to get to rank 2 and 3, but still, even then, -1 to TN is just a great effect. So that's a very handy and helpful ability that will make even these basic techniques you can pick up child's play. Like, you will probably have a 3 in theology, and you'll probably have if you're picking the invocations, like if you have a 1 in a ring, you should probably not pick that invocation, otherwise picking your starting invocations is really just whatever you want. But you will probably have a 3 in theology. If you're playing an Isawa Elementalist, that would make sense for that to be your, peak core critical skill. You will probably have 2 to 3 in the rings. Who can't roll, the odds of you rolling not a single success somewhere in those numbers are, well, I don't know them exactly, but they should be pretty slim in there. And obviously, yeah, okay, you can goof them. Maybe you get all opportunities or something, and there's stuff you can do with that still. But lowering the TN to 1, which is the very minimum always, it is always the minimum TN, you can do a lot of work. And then let's round it off by talking about starting outfit. You have Sanctified Robes, the Wakizashi, a knife, a scroll satchel, traveling pack. Pretty basic kit, nothing really to get excited about. You get Sanctified Robes for free. They're cool. Alright, so let's get into that curriculum, because that'll be a lot of these interesting discussion points. Alright, so, that curriculum. Hey, as usual, ignore the left side of your screen. We'll talk about that in a second, because that's a whole second breakdown. But let's work on that curriculum. So, rank 1, you're starting out. Hey, there's Cleansing Rite. I was wondering where that was. That's one of the techniques you can pick up. You can also pick up an early access to Dance of Seasons. That's only rank 2, right? Dance of Seasons? I was scrolling the wrong way in the document. I was like, I'm in fire. I should scroll up to water. No. Dance of Seasons is rank 2. Okay. So, yeah, you can obviously, the moment you rank up, pick it up, but you might as well get it early anyway. Dance of Seasons is a really fun one that lets you basically warp water into different shapes, so it can be like, water become mist or steam, boom, obscuring terrain. Water becomes solid ice, boom, dangerous terrain. You can even turn water into mud, stuff like that. Do other weird stuff with the terrain. It's pretty fun. You can even spend opportunity to encase characters in ice to, hold them. It's cool. You should pick it up anyway, but now it's in there. So, your non-group skills are you can buy meditation, command, or composition. Command's not a bad idea. As we've said, the Isawa are actually one of the more authoritative families in their clan, so that's a decent one to pick up anyway, plus it can fuel certain shuji, which you do have access to, even though you don't really get a lot of them in curriculum, but you can buy them freely for half XP if you decide you need them. You get composition, which can make sense for a variety of things. You can use it for prepared invocation. You can just use it to drop sick poems on people. And meditation, while it is technically a combat skill, does make sense for you. And hey, who knows? There are Tairogii rules, or whichever one of the consonants or vowels I missed in that. I never remember how that's built in my mind. But there's mage duels in the core. They're not expounded upon, but, you might get to dueling people with meditation. But otherwise, in generally, it's good because it fits some of your rituals and things. But your big group is scholar skills. Hey, guess what's a scholar skill? Theology. But that also gives you access to lots of other stuff. You could, if you wanted to be more administrative, you could take government, you could take culture if you want to be more, culturally sensitive. Medicine's in there, because you are very learned. Healing is a little bit more of the Asako thing, but you are, not completely inured to it. Medicine is one of your possible school skills. And there's lots of other stuff that goes on in there. You'll primarily probably be using it to buy up theology, but you could do other stuff. You are a pure Shugenja. You are from the scholarly family of the scholarly clan, so scholar skills in general picks up. And you get rank 1 fire invocations, which we'll talk about in a second. At rank 2, you also get scholar skills. You're going to get a theme. There's going to be a lot of scholar skills back to back in here. You can also pick up courtesy now, and then meditation again, and performance. So basically, you can see here, your hot buttons in your school are social skills, scholar skills, meditation. Meditation will come up a lot. So, yes, you can maximize this however you like. And like I said, with your starting skill options, you can start leaning more social or leaning more scholarly. Like, you can go full nerd, or you can be, wizard king or whatever, priest king kind of builds, because you are a leading family in your clan. That's a little bit special to the Isawa. Most of the other Shugenja families are there as, spiritual advisors who handle spiritual matters for their clan. But now the Isawa are the boss. And I'm personally assuming performance, because I don't think they have a lot of super artistic influences. I'm assuming performance is because there are certain songs and dances in both Japanese and thus Rokugani culture which are sacred. So you could do sacred performances as part of a thing. This is one of your very few shuji choices in curriculum, Fanning the Flames. Which obviously makes perfect sense for you. Well, yeah, and the one, you're Phoenix, so, fire and stuff, but yeah, Fanning the Flames is the one that when you're making social skill checks with fire, you can make your targets become dazed or enraged, which I think is just hilarious, because you can literally agitate them. Keeping in mind that fire is the element of, yes, of, passion or invoking things, but also it's the element of, creativity and stuff. You can just prattle on about your new ideas until somebody's like, ah. It's pretty funny, but also on point. Oh, and you can get Fury of Osanuo early, which you should probably do, because that's one of the big boy spells which a lot of people who are overly concerned with game balance are like, oh no, scary. But normally it's a TN 5, so if you pick it early at rank 2, when you cast it, you can make it TN 3. If you're actually outside, you reduce the TN by 1, so you could make it TN 2 to throw lightning bolts at people, and it's pretty cool, and that kind of scales as you go up. It's a really good pick for you to pick up early, and you can get rank 1 to 2 water invocations. So we can move to rank 3. Oh, hey, what's this? You get Scholar Skills again. Yeah, I wasn't kidding. You get those back-to-back a lot. You can get Composition again, Meditation, pretty typical stuff. You can also get Survival. That is a little weird, I think, for such a scholarly school as the Isawa Elementalist, but I don't know, maybe you needed to gather offerings in the woods or handle animals. I'm not sure where it fits in. This is the only place where Survival in curriculum comes out, but, you could pick it up for XP while you got it. And, of course, being at the moment, the premier signature, Phoenix School, you get early access to Wings of the Phoenix, which is normally a TN4 theology check that lets you fly and set stuff on fire. That's pretty cool to get early. I would recommend picking that up, though obviously you could go other directions. But still, fun to get your primo access. You also get access to Strike the Tsunami, which is one of the few directly offensive water invocations. Slap people with water. Which seems pretty fair. Honestly, at this point, like, when we get into other stuff, I'll talk about it, but as you can see from this, while you do get a little bit of action from other stuff, there does seem to be a slightly heavier weight between fire and water in your curriculum. So not only do you get a couple of rank fire invocations, you also, will get multiple opportunities to buy fire and water invocations, whereas there's only, like, one each of the others. So there is a slight leaning towards that. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Strike the Tsunami. Okay, so we're on rank 4. Rank 4 now. Hey, remember how I said government could be a good choice? Government's in rank 4, along with sentiment and theology. That kind of makes sense to me. First of all, this means that I believe, theology. I had to look ahead at rank 5. Theology is available in every rank. Guess what? It's your core skill. You should buy a lot of theology. It's really what you're all about, no matter what type of Isawa Shugenja you are. You will be involved with theology. But you could pick up government and sentiment, which I do think makes sense for more advanced areas in the school. You're eventually going to be getting into teaching, instructing, leading, needing to understand people. You get martial skills at the higher. Presumably so you can buy meditation, but I don't know, tactics or fitness probably wouldn't be out of place. When we talk about technique recommendations, you may notice I skip a lot of the, weapon of element, because you don't really have a good option. Like, you can always branch out and just buy a couple of those, but you really, unlike some other classes, you're not suited to cross over into that, unless you're about rank 4 and you're like, oh, I bought Katana Fire a long time ago just as an Enkasi. Now maybe I can actually get some full credit for buying a couple points of, martial arts melee besides maybe like 1. It's good that you have the opportunity, but not necessarily on point. So you can get rank 1 to 4 Earth Invocations. You can get Rise Flame. Again, lots of fire in there. You probably should have picked fire as one of your rings somewhere along the way, but we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about clan and family, just how that shakes out with your flexibility. And then you can get Wrath of Kaze no Kami, which is, well, it's early access, so it's got to be rank 5 air, but that's the biggest, baddest air. You can summon a hurricane, buffets all characters, does big stuff, persists for a number of rounds. You can throw them, you can disorient them. Does it do... Okay. Alright, so it only does damage if you spend an opportunity. And it's normally TN5, so, hey, guess what? If you pick it up early, you could make it TN1, once per scene. Which is pretty good, because that gives you the opportunity you can spend on some fun stuff. You may notice that that's really the core aspect of the Elementalist school, is like, once in a while you can go, boom, I'm going to drop a big spell and do lots of opportunity or something, or bonus successes if it matters. So rank 5, you have access to social skills, the full broad selection. Probably courtesy might make sense, but it could be command. Command is also instruction, and can handle some other stuff. composition comes back. Sentiment kind of comes back, showing that it does seem to be a more, well, not necessarily advanced, because it's a scholar skill all the way. So that is another focus that turns into, because that technically means that, much like theology, you can buy sentiment at every rank. Which may or may not matter. The Isawa are often thought of as an arrogant people, and I could see some of that bleeding into their students, regardless of what clan they're from. So, understanding people might not be your thing, but if it is, the school will reward you. You can buy it all the way through if you want to be observational about people's emotional states, their intent, what's going on. Lots of other interesting things you can do with sentiment. And, of course, theology shows up. So you can get rank 1 to 5 earth, rank 1 to 5 fire invocations. You can also get Earthquake, which is weird. Now, on the one hand, Earthquake's really, really good for you. On the other hand, Earthquake's a rank 4 technique. You could have bought it already? I don't know. I think possibly in the first print, there was a redundant thing in here, and they were just like, ah, shit. So I don't know if that'll get fixed in a later printing. It's weird. Earthquake is a good invocation for you, but you could pick it up a whole rank earlier. But anyway, I don't know. And you get your only other Shuji in curriculum, which is Rouse the Soul. Which is, that's Void, isn't it? Yeah, it's a rank 5 Void. So when making a social or theology Void check targeting a character, you can remove conditions. It's been a while since I've done some of these, so sometimes I forget what they do. So, while Void is obviously not a ring you've emphasized necessarily, it is probably a ring you've had to buff up because you maybe are spreading out among your other rings, so, your Void has to keep high so you can keep buying up those rings. But, thematically, Void approaches also work very well for your character, enlightening, understanding, insight, stuff like that. And the fact that you can do it while on a theology check, so while you are doing the religious aspect of theology, being like, here's what's spiritually sound, you can help people out. And then, your mastery ability, once you hit rank 6, is called Master of Elements. Once per round, after you perform an invocation, you may spend 1 void point to switch to any other stance and perform any other invocation that shares no attack types with the first. So, for a void point, you can double cast, and if you want to, you can switch stances so you can cast from a completely different element. That's something that's not necessarily explicit, but I know that some people haven't necessarily caught on to, but I'm pretty sure the way the stance system works, because you have to, it specifies the type of element check, the type of ring you have to use for invocations. You have to be in that stance because you're not allowed to to use other ring dice when you're in different stances. Okay? Just saying. I'm pretty sure, I don't think that's necessarily explicitly mentioned with invocations, but that is my understanding of the general rules that sometimes people don't seem to think about. It's not like you can just, out of nowhere, go like, oh, I'm an earth, but I want to cast my air spell. No, you have to declare at the top. You're going to be an air. So you got to think about what you're doing, little kids. Unless you're an Isawa master, in which place you can go, I'm going to do my earth invocation, then boom, I'm going to do my air invocation. They just have to be completely different. But yes, that is a pretty powerful ability to drop 2 castings and be like, I'm going to do something supportive to me or supportive to my friends, or possibly even schemey or movement-y, and then I'm going to drop an attack on you. Now, you can't double attack, but still, pretty good. So, let's talk about those recommendations. So, at rank 1, you get rank 1 fire invocations. Like I said earlier, I left Katana of Fire off here because you're not really a melee build. Like, you could go that route if you want. Obviously, if you ever need to, just pick up the XP on it. But it, doesn't necessarily seem in theme right away. Similarly, no biting steel, because that's a melee thing. You can do stuff to people. I did put Fukuro Kujin's wit. Sorry, his name is really long. So that's the, Kami of knowledge. The fortune of knowledge, I should say. Fortunes are Kami, but it's better to be specific. So basically, you can do a very basic, it's a TN1 theology check, so you never have to worry about wasting your school ability on it, because it will never do anything. And you can increase your wits and cunning. Whenever they make a check, the target adds a opportunity strife result, an extra ring die. 1 per round plus rounds equal to your bonus successes. And for an opportunity, you can target another character instead of yourself. And that's your only opportunity spend, because it normally has to be self. So that can be good if you're trying to get extra opportunities. Heck, if you're in fire, that strife can become a bonus success. I don't recommend it for casting because strife symbols are bad, and that's a kept symbol you can't get rid of. Well, okay, you can choose not to keep it, I think. That might be required. I have to ask, FFG of like, hey, if a technique or something says to add a kept die, can I choose not to keep it even though it says to add a kept? I don't know. But be careful about doing this with invocations because that causes spiritual backlash. But it still is a thing that exists and can be very helpful for, researchy type scenes. You're going to go you're doing a narrative scene and you're going to go do some research or something. Or heck, even you're about to start an intrigue. Maybe not a formal one like we said, because sometimes invocations can be a little flashy and be rude. But still, that can give you some opportunity and it gives you some buff skills. The other ones that are really good, like, I don't know, Matsu's Battle Cry seems a little weird for you too. But you can summon an illusion of a hellish scene, make him freak out, take strife. But Cleansing Fire is your big AoE bomb, but it burns everybody, and then the Fires Within is pretty basic. You lash out with fire, smite each target. Stuff for supernatural damage. Targeting characters up to your firing. So, the Fires from Within is probably the one you're gonna pick if you're being offensive at all. And then you might pick up Cleansing Fire later. With Fukuro Kujin's Wit being a good supportive spell if you're being that more designed. Which, that sort of thing will come up a little bit, is whether or not you want to build to be a support Shugenja or build to be a attacky Shugenja. Speaking of which, rank 2, you get rank 1 to 2 water. So obviously at rank 1, you could have picked up any of the rank 1 waters. And if you still want, cheap EXPs and you didn't pick them up, they're valid selections too. But obviously, like I said, if you really wanted to, you could have picked those all up at rank 1. So Dominion of Suijin will be a good pick there. Reflections of Panku, Inari's Blessing, Path to Inner Peace if you didn't pick it as your starting invocation, etc. The Rushing Wave, maybe. Those are all more supportive. Water at rank 1 and rank 2 even is very good supportive. So the ones that are rank 2 that you maybe didn't pick up is you've got Heart of the Water Dragon, which is a support one, augments a target, gains supernatural resistance, and removes 1 fatigue at the end of each round. Persists for 1 round plus bonus successes, which means at rank 2 you can make it a TN1 check, so that can be very helpful. And you can even, with opportunity spends, do some fun stuff where it bounces off. So Heart of the Water Dragon is a very good, purifying ability to be, resistant to supernatural damage. You already have Sacred Rose, but if you want to get better at that, that can help. And then the other one is Sympathetic Energy, which is a really weird one, but basically that lets you augment the target. So affecting one of your targets, you can spread a persistent invocation to others. So, heck, you're rank 2, you could pick up both of these. You could do Heart of the Water Dragon, and then next turn, Sympathetic Energies. Everybody is Heart of the Water Dragon. It's pretty good. If you have opportunities, you can make it to spread conditions, which can turn it into an offensive thing. You're like, I made that one guy mad, now I'm going to make all of them mad. Kind of thing. There's no clarification on that, too, so you can also do weird shit like, oh, that guy's unconscious, I'm going to spend 2 opportunity to make them all unconscious. There's also somebody's like, can you do it with dying to make a suicide bomb? And that's like, sure, but that means you have to make yourself dying. And also, possibly, that would be a dishonorable, underhanded, creepy thing to do, and, maybe you'll lose something for that. But mechanically, I think it works. For the moment, anyway. So at rank 1 to 3, at rank 3, you get 1 to 3 air invocations. Again, as is per our usual, we don't talk about super low levels. Though some of them can certainly be useful if you are trying to build different builds. So, Vapor of Nightmares is a rank 3. You can use that to work on people, summon illusions of their fears, attack them. But that might be a little, creepy and violent for you. Maybe Grasp of the Air Dragon works better for you. Which is you summon a Gale Force and you can move the target a number of range bands. Which ignores terrain. And then you choose to set them down gently or slam them. Which means, basically, you can use it to help your friends or hurt your enemies. The ultimate Isawa technique. So rank 1 to 4 Earth Invocations is weird. It's a weird bubble. Obviously, it makes sense because in case you haven't noticed, hey, you get 1 of every element and then 2 of fire. It's kind of like the last episode of this we did, which involved the Togashi, though they got void. So, like, obviously, if you didn't pick it up at a rank 3, Earth Becomes Sky is great, but you could have just picked that up. You know, you could have picked up a lot of the fun stuff. Jade Strike, Bind the Shadow, you know, all the things that might make sense for you to do. Power of the Earth Dragon. So the only rank 4s are Rise Earth and Earthquake, but you also get Earthquake next rank. So it depends on, I guess it depends on when you need the Earthquake and when you need the EXP to count towards your curriculum. If you want it to count earlier, and you're rank 4 already, so the you can make the TN 5 a TN 1. And summon the Earthquake and get all those cool opportunity spends. A lot of people have hashed about how busted Earthquake can be, because Asahina can do some violent things with it. But so can Isawa. So you could pick it up, but that makes your next rank a little weird because you can't buy it twice. Honestly, you get Rise Fire. Rise Earth's not a bad one because you can make the Kami have like Sacred and stuff. Endurance, you know, the Manifest Earth Kami can do some interesting things. But it works to pick up and be in your curriculum. So once again, at rank 1 to 5 Fire, we have another weird problem. You could have bought Wings of the Phoenix several ranks ago, and that's a rank 4 normally. And there's only one rank... Let me double check again. There's only one rank 5 for now. And obviously, there will eventually be a Phoenix book, which will probably have loads more elemental invocations, or God knows, any other kind of books could have more invocations that are elemental and work. So, there could be more fire ranks, various other things. Makes sense. So, your options will expand, obviously. These are not meant to be purely indicative, but kind of just show you your options and help you work through some problems and figure out what's a good pickup for you. So, if you, much like with the Earthquake question, and I probably should put a question mark in there for my final version, just in case, because I don't have it there. You could pick up Rise Flame earlier also, but now it counts, so I don't know. That really only leaves you with the Soul's Blade, and you did have an opportunity to buy martial skills in other places, but also, interestingly enough, Soul's Blade, with one opportunity, and considering it's not a super hard check and you're an Isawa Shigenja, you could make it really easy. You can get that opportunity. You can hand it to other people, which is a good effect. It's a very powerful spell. Honestly, in general, the rank 1 to 5 Fire will probably become more impressive when more spells are added. But okay, that's your techniques. You can kind of see, well, technique recommendations, also the curriculum in general. You can kind of see, like I said, the different paths you can take. You could focus much more purely on certain scholarly pursuits to be a scholar, an advisor, an administrator. Or you could go, well, not even an administrator. That's more of the second route, which is like, hey, you're part of the ruling family of this clan. You are good at talking to people. You're good at understanding people, running things, in addition to all your other stuff. And maybe you can even fight people a little bit at the end. Because you have such flexibility with spells, with invocations, you can pick up all kinds of interesting attributes, like the rank 1 to 2 water. There are so many supportive rank 1 water techniques. Besides Path to Inner Peace, like, Inari's Blessing can be a real help. There's, Rushing Wave, all that stuff. You can do lots and lots of really interesting things with your invocations, especially when you can make them so easy. It's just, what makes sense as you climb through the ranks is like, where's your big budget, spells that you can make really easy and drop a lot of power on. So, let us round out by talking about the clan and stuff really quick. Man, we can actually move through these pretty quick when there's not a lot of extra junk to talk about. So, alright. Phoenix Clan. It's pretty straightforward. Their ring is void. Their skill is theology. So, hey, you get theology easy. Their status is 30 because they're not one of the 3 clans all cored up around the capital. Families Asako, Isawa, Kaito, Shiba. With, in case this wasn't clear from the Kaito episode, the Kaito family being added probably almost specifically so Phoenix actually has 4 families. Because 3 was weird. It still took them like 1,000 years. Anyway, there's not much else to talk about here. Void works because, as we said, thematically, Void Ring is very good for you. And Theology, obviously, is your core skill. And sure, there could be other clans that would work. Arguably, considering how widespread the Isawa-style Shugendo is, it would make sense for some students from other clans to be trained in the Elementalist school, since that's very general. But I've said this before, and I will reiterate in case you haven't watched those episodes, I will be here for like an extra hour if I had to unpack literally every clan combo you could do with every school. So we focus on the core ones as just kind of a, does this resonate well with your school or not? And that's Phoenix Clan. There's not much else to talk about there. Let's move on to the families, where we might have a little bit more discussion points. So, for your family selections of the 4, these are alphabetical. So we started the Asako, which can give you air or fire. Both are on point. Fire especially, but air also, you get a couple opportunities in there. You could go air. You get culture and sentiment, which are technically in school for you. You do have a focus on scholarly pursuits, like we said, and sentiment is as frequently appearing as theology. So, if you were an Asako Shugenja, a Shugenja born in the Asako family, and you didn't make the snuff for the Inquisitor school, because that's a whole thing, you could easily have studied General Shugenjo at the Isawa school. You get Glory 40 starting with 5 Koku. The Phoenix are not a super rich clan. So the Isawa family itself gets Fire or Void, so you already have Void, so you can go all the way to Void 3, and then still have Fire 2, and then still buff that to 3 with your school, because of flexibility. This would give you a very balanced spread, or you could choose to go to Fire 2 with this, and then make it one of your school rings, whatever. It works out a lot. Skills are meditation and theology. So this would mean that you could this allows you to easily hit theology 3, like I said. Puts you up there, puts you right in the same spot. You also get some meditation started, so maybe you can skip that as a starting skill and broaden out your other skill options anyway, because you don't get a lot of skills. It's a very good fit for this school for a reason. And arguably, I expect most, other than maybe the Tensei one, because those might be like, depending on how FFG decides to mechanically model that, you might have to be like, oh, you want to focus down on like earth or water. Whatever. It's there. Glory 44, you get the little bit of glory because you're the leading family, and so on. Kaito family, who were in a Isawa vassal family until recently, get air or void, which makes sense. You get fitness and theology. Is it mentioned? I think it's mentioned in the fluff that usually, I know for sure that many Isawa who do not get good, like they lack the ability to do full-blown Shugenja invocations, often are sent to Kaito schools like the Shrine Keeper school. I don't know if that goes in reverse. I believe it does. That if a full-blown Shugenja, not just kind of their own unique tradition that if you want to know more about, you should check out our episode on the Kaito Shrine Keeper school. They end up back at one of the Isawa Shugenja schools. I know it makes sense. If you wanted to lean into air because the elemental school really can go everywhere, you could easily do it with this. Don't have as much of a focus on it, so you'd be a little out of curriculum to go whole hanga on it a lot, but still you can get that focus and you can get early access to your, highest level spell right now. Or Void works. Theology is on point. Fitness also could work. God forbid you have to actually go outside. It would certainly probably lead to you being maybe a slightly more rugged Isawa school member, which could make sense. And then the Shiba family, Earth or Water, Meditation and Tactics, Glory 40. Now, obviously, a Shiba you could slot in there. You'd be a little weird, but water is also another big focus for you. If you wanted to play that more supportive role, you could very easily go like Shiba, double down on water, focus on maybe earth or even fire. Fire's got a decent number of support invocations too. You get meditation, you've got tactics, which means you can be aware in a combat situation, even if you're not necessarily good at it. And you could play that more supportive healing role, and it will work out very well. All of these have their own affinity, mostly because the Isawa Elementalist school is so general. That's really its strong point. So it fits well. This commentary basically works for any clan and family setup. Theoretically, they could mesh well with the Elementalist school, but I would say that you probably favor fire or water slightly more just because you get a little bit more of those invocations in curriculum. And that's the Isawa Elementalist school. Arguably the first Shugenja school I should have done to cover all those topics, but, that's just kind of this goes. I wanted to spread out between the clans and stuff, so on and so forth. But, yeah, wow. I managed to get through all the meat in under an hour. That's good. I'll have to do that more often. It kind of is easier when you get that bullshit out of the way, which is also kind of why I didn't want to do a coda right away, because I was like, I said, I'll talk a little bit about mass combat. I'm like, I don't want to go through all that right now. So that could still be the next one, though it is now October. I know I said I wanted to work through more of the core book schools before I moved on to other source books, but because, we'll be here a while enough as it is. On the other hand, I don't know, I could take a break off. Still haven't done any Miter Clan schools. Now that it's October, it could be appropriate. Maybe we want to pop in and see the Falcon Clan school, because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with the one that premiered in Shadowlands. If it weren't for the fact that then I'd be doubling up on Phoenix, even though I find Phoenix super interesting. They're not my favorite clan, but a lot of their school concepts are very useful for RPG stuff, or even just their general fluff. But I would say to do Inquisitors, but like I said, that'd be a lot of Phoenix back-to-back. So, yeah, we could do Falcon, or some other school from Shadowlands that made sense. We could move on to something else. And I think that might be a good Tillo break. Like, Falcon would probably be the best one of the Toritaka Phantom Hunter school. Because there's some stuff to talk about there with the general audience, as always. And some concepts to work through. But it's also a really fun school. It's, like I said, it makes a good Ghostbuster school. Literally. So, if you have any comments or preferences on which school you'd like me to tackle next, if you'd like me to hit up the Toritaka school for, a spooky insert, go ahead and let me know. And yeah, in general, so if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and give it a like if you liked it. If you have any comments in general about the episode, leave them in the comment section down below. I'm sorry it took a while to get here. You can also join our Discord, the link's in the description. And if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel so we can always get you our latest videos. The plan is still to do a couple of Enter the Dojos a month. And also, as more news and details come up about Path of Waves, which is due sometime in this quarter. Hopefully it's not caught up with, so I know FFG has some other product delays, but I think that might be a wait thing, because those are mostly like miniatures, not books. So, and some card game stuff has been moved around a little, but yeah, keep an eye out for that. We'll definitely, when it actually comes out and it comes out to PDF, 2 months later, I'll do a full review like I do with other books, but I might even do comments on like other preview articles as they come out, because there's going to be some cool stuff in there. Just conceptually, but also, actual useful, neat things will be in there, I'm sure. And also, at some point, they're going to release that Dragon novella, which I'll have to buy and read. That'll be fun. So stay tuned to all that stuff, and you can also check out our other videos. We do some other FFG stuff, do some other general topics, like check out, if you're interested in this kind of culture stuff, check out our show, What's Up? With Omega and Lucky. I'm Omega, by the way, in case that wasn't clear. Because we talk a lot about video games and anime and stuff as well. Sometimes movie and regular TV. And sometimes even tabletop stuff a lot, which can include L5R. And of course, even if you're already subscribed, consider that bell for notifications so you always know we post a new episode. And like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early for longer form episodes that, while there is obviously visual aids, I still talk through most of the points. You can get these in audio format for as little as $1 a month. That also includes all our podcasts and other stuff, so it can be a great listen. Take it on the go. And it really helps us out. Though your watching will also help us out. Alright, I think that is everything. I will see you next time. And go with the fortunes, everybody.